want to say a warm word of welcome to all of us today. If you have any guests or visitors who are joining us from maybe another parish or from out of town, it's good to have you here with us today. If you are in from Seattle, go home. Today is your first time coming back after maybe a little siesta from church. It's good to have you back home. And if you are from Ireland, we want to say welcome to the Father Gal and his family is here with us today at Mass today. Siblings flew in for the memorial Mass and have been eating ever since they got off the plane. We have fed them well. We have had lots of good quality time together to pray together, laugh together, to share stories together, and it has been a real delight to be here with you. And it's great to be together. How about those saints? This collective gasp in the air right now, right there, huh? I'm sure if many of you are mere mortals, but Who Dat fans, you went to bed last night with a collective exhale of disappointment. You woke up this morning with a heavy heart of disappointment. It's kind of interesting to see all of South Louisiana kind of getting geared up for the big game yesterday. I was listening to WWL throughout the week, and Tommy Tucker, who's one of the morning radio show hosts, he had an image, and he says, if you ever watch football, you sometimes see the players in the locker room before the game. They have their headphones on, and you don't know what they're listening to, but you know they're listening to something, and there's this look in their eye. Maybe their eyes are closed. Maybe they're looking at the locker, and they're just kind of getting ready for the game. Heads bopping a little bit, toes tapping, and they're just getting in the zone, waiting for the game. And he said last week, he says, I feel like all of South Louisiana is in that image. Everybody's getting ready for the big game, as if we had anything to do with the impact of the game. But we were all getting ready, right? I don't know if you have stock in Popeyes, but they sold a lot of chicken yesterday, huh? And they lost. And I'm sure that there's this question within our hearts now of what's next? What's next? Even if they would have won, let's tease it out a little bit. Let's say the Saints win yesterday. We'll either play San Francisco or Carolina. Let's just presume we win that game next weekend. And let's just presume, for the sake of the analogy, that we go to New York, the Saints win the Super Bowl. And after all the hoop and hype is all over, at some point when it was all said and done, we still would have woken up on a Sunday morning and said the same thing. What's next? We got so geared up for the game, so geared up for the season, kind of hoping that this was the time. They played so well against Philadelphia. A lot of us thought they were going to win. And then, if you're honest, perhaps if you're a fan, you woke up this morning and you said to yourself, all right, what's next? It's in a culture that we live in. What's next? Even yesterday, incredible Mass, beautiful experience. Father Gallen's siblings here with us, and man, you should have heard the tributes before Mass. Amazing stories told about John. And the weather, huh? Hey, if you prayed for the weather, you see me after Mass. I got some other things I need you to start praying for. Like my hair. But it just all kind of came together, and just so many people, like a part of what I was resting in gratitude with this morning was just the number of people that it took to make yesterday happen. And If you had anything to do with yesterday, from praying to showing up, to helping out, to setting up, to cleaning up, I'm filled with gratitude this morning, and just thank you very much. And I woke up this morning, and I got to be honest with you, I was filled with such gratitude from yesterday, and a little question popped up in my heart. Whew, okay, what's next? What's next? Like, it's just there. You know, we live, especially in South Louisiana, with so much luring us away. There's Thanksgiving, and after Thanksgiving, there's Black Friday. After Black Friday, there's the Christmas season. Then there's Christmas Day. Rest up from Christmas. Here comes New Year's. After New Year's, Saints playoffs. After Saints playoff, Mardi Gras is coming just around the corner. Thank God Lent comes around. We need Ash Wednesday to breathe a little bit. We've got Lent. Here comes crawfish boils. After crawfish boils, here comes the summer. After the summer's over, it's football season again. And then we just do this over and over and over. Like, it's real easy for us, if we're not attentive to life, to just go from one thing to the next thing. And there's always another next thing. And it's easy for us to ask, what's next? What's next is driven by our attitude around ordinary. Just presume, for the sake of the image, this is ordinary life. How do you feel about ordinary life? Ordinary life. Paying bills. Ordinary life. Socks next to the lazy boy. Ordinary life, eating leftovers. Ordinary life, traffic. Ordinary life, being married. Ordinary life, your spouse doesn't look like they did on the day of the wedding. Ordinary life, your kids grew up and they don't look as cuddly and cute as they did when they were first newborn. Hey, ordinary life, right? There's nothing romantic about ordinary life. Most of the meals that we eat throughout the year are not as eloquently prepared as the Thanksgiving Day monster banquet that we had, huh? Ordinary life. How do you feel about ordinary life? See, in ordinary life, marriage is hard. You fall in love in the experience. You set a wedding date. If you were a smart fiance and you were a man, you just said whatever you want to your wife, right? I don't care what the napkins look like at the reception, just whatever you want. Then you came home from the honeymoon, and that was awesome. And then you realize that most of married life is not about a honeymoon. Most of married life is about arguing whether the toilet paper flips up or does it flip down, right? When does the laundry detergent go in? On top of the clothes or at the beginning when the water goes in? See, being married is not easy. Most of marriage is about fighting to stay in love with each other. Most of marriage is fighting to stay in communication with each other. Most of marriage is letting go of your in-laws and allowing the fact that over time, two people change in life. And you gotta work hard to stay in love with the person that you're married to, especially when you don't like the person that you're married to. Amen? See, in ordinary life, in the ordinary, marriage ain't easy. Then, if you thought marriage was fun, throw in some kids, huh? You parent differently. Expectations are different. Your kids sometimes meet your expectations. Your kids, most of the time, don't meet your expectations. Raising kids is different because you raise your kids a certain way, and then your neighbor down the road parents their kids differently, and then your kids hit teenage years, and your kids want to do something, and all their friends are doing something else, and you got to either say yes or no. And like raising kids is hard in the ordinary real world. Then you throw in the economy and finances and jobs and all kinds of other things, and all of a sudden, there's always the curveball in life. And hey, in ordinary life, it's tough to stay. So in ordinary life, we want to go to the next thing. See, the saints gave us something to look at. There was a lot of excitement. And then all of a sudden, for most of America, or most of South Louisiana, they woke up today and they said something like this. Not you, but a lot of people said, I got to go back to ordinary life. It's Mardi Gras. I got to go back to ordinary life. Crawfish. I got to go back to ordinary life. Summer vacation. And then as you're driving home or flying home from summer vacation, I got to go back to ordinary. So the real question today has nothing to do with the saints. At some point, the season's going to end. And whether they are holding up the Lombardi trophy or will they walk home looking for a field goal kicker? Because they got to get a field goal kicker. Come on. Their season does not change your ordinary. Now, I know that in ordinary life, watching the Saints game is fun. That's not what I'm saying. But the question around what's next is important for us, because if I'm comfortable and at home in the ordinary, then what's next, I simply receive what's next. But if I don't like the ordinary, then I'm running to what's next. And that's the question. Am I going to receive what's next, or am I running to the next diversion because I don't like the ordinary? Ordinary life. See, this is where life really happens. This is where we have to deal with disappointments. This is where we have to deal with the mundane. This is where I have to look at people and struggle and relationship. And see, in the ordinary stuff, I got to deal with my family and my siblings and my parents and my kids and my marriage and my finances and my job and traffic. This is, ordinary life. And from ordinary life, listen, there's birthed a whisper that says, God's not here. So I look for God in the big thing. See, God's not with me, that's the lie. So I look for God in the big mass. And He's there. Or the lie is God's not with me in the ordinary, so I look for God in some extraordinary event. Here's the lie. I'm not happy here. So I look for happiness somewhere else. A lot of us struggle to be present in life. You ever been with somebody and they're physically with you, but they're not really with you? You ever talk to somebody and their eyes are somewhere else, and you know that they're physically having a conversation with you, but they're not really having a conversation with you? I struggle with that a lot. Like, my mind is wired in a certain way, and so many times my mind is just moving to what's next, and I have to work hard to be focused here. If I don't believe God is with me here, if I don't think that happiness is here, if I don't think that fulfillment is here in the ordinary, then I will be physically present to the ordinary. I might even be physically present to my family, but I'm somewhere else. I'm checked out trying to live somewhere else. So here's the good news. God lives here. Right here. Now, God is in extraordinary moments. We had a historic day yesterday. Incredible day at the memorial mass. But you know what? You want to know where God's going to be tomorrow? When we're vacuuming the church. When we're picking up programs. When we as a church family are present to Monday, January the 13th. Asking the same questions as a parish family on Monday the 13th. God, what do you want us to do? As we were asking months ago when we heard about Father Gallen. Are we prepared for the memorial mass? It's the same question tomorrow. What do you want us to do, God? Same question as a family. Same question that you asked when you first heard John was sick. God, what do you want us to do? Same question that you asked when we were here and in the rectory wondering if John was going to come home. God, what do you want us to do? Same question first week of December when you knew his health was not going to get better. And you said, God, what do you want us to do? See, that's the same question we ask. What's next for us as a family is to ask the same question to God. God, what do you want us to do? And as a family, you're going to find God in the ordinary. Ordinary grief, ordinary memories. This is where God is for you as a family. If there's anybody walking in church today and you're searching for God, if you walked into church today and you have asked God to show you a sign, if you ask God to somehow be with you, if there is anybody today who you have reached a point in your life where you need more, you want more, the more that we need is not the next diversion, the next thing, the next. If you want more, if you want God, behold, you and I will find God here in ordinary life. Tomorrow morning when you wake up and you have to go back to work, tomorrow morning when you wake up and you have to go back to school, and tomorrow morning when you came face to face with the fact that you live with imperfect people, you want to know where God lives? Right there, in the midst of that. So whether right now life looks like you want it to look, or whether right now life looks like you did not expect it to look, or whether right now life looks just a little bit messy, hey, here's the good news. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, God's waking up with you in the midst of ordinary life. Christmas is over. The green banners are back up. We're in ordinary time. And the church said we're going to start off ordinary time with Jesus' baptism. Jesus woke up, he was 30. He was probably a carpenter like Joseph was, inherited Joseph's business, his trade. He was apprenticed by Joseph. Jesus wakes up for whatever prompting. Maybe it was Cana, maybe it was Mary, who knows? Jesus was baptized today. He hears the words from the Father, you are my beloved Son, and ordinary was transformed in the baptism. Jesus did not go back living in the same world. Jesus knew that now ordinary was different because when that voice came from the heavens, God entered Jesus' ordinary life. And he's propelled into his public ministry. It starts today in the baptism. Because God lives in the ordinary. How do you feel about life? How do you feel about your ordinary life? What is it that you're looking for? And have you asked the question in the last 12 hours, what's next? Well, He's next. He is ordinary. He is what you and I ultimately desire. And if we want to find Him, if we want to find where He's pursuing us, we will find Him not in what's next, but we will find Him in our ordinary life. Amen?